live. Okay. Good morning and happy day, everyone. Welcome to KUAM's morning meetings. Start your day the KUAM way here with me, Nick Delgado, and the rest of the news team. Morning, news team.
Good morning.
So just real quick, start your day the KUAM way. It gives you an inside look about what we're working on, the stories that you've been talking about on social media over the weekend and over this past week. And so let's get to it. Guys, this is our morning meeting where we're going to talk about the stories we're working on or some of the stories that we've been covering throughout the weekend and the past week. We'll start with Chris.
First off, I think we're going to have a morning meeting. We need to have donuts and coffee.
Okay, I think Chris signed up for that one. Right. Thanks, Chris.
Empanada. Some of the things I'm going to be working on this week is we're going to be following up with Congressman Mike Nicholas and seeing if that war claims legislative fix was introduced. There's some stuff going on with that, and then I'm going to be going around with Deputy Mayor Melissa Savara's illegal dumping. It's just one of these problems that, tragically just won't go away. And she's got a couple hot spots in her village. I think every village has hot spots. So I really want to kind of shine some light on that and look at more of the enforcement, because I've studied EPA's notices of violation, and I don't think there's enough NOVs being issued for the amount of illegal dumping that we're seeing.
Yeah, illegal dumping, that's a problem. It seems like a lingering problem through the generations. And are we ever going to get a handle in it? That's something that we're going to see.
That's what I want to know. Why can't we get a handle on it? I mean, and people make all kinds of arguments, but at the end of the day, that's part of what makes Guam so special is it's paradise, and just this illegal dumping and littering in general. I mean, it's not a pretty issue. It's actually pretty trashy.
Yeah. No pun intended.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I want to circle back to the issue of war claims. It really dragged out last week, and it was just heartbreaking to hear that news from the Congresswoman, the former Congresswoman, Madeline Berdalio. What's the latest that you've heard from some of our vets, their reactions, or some of those war survivors?
Well, I was able to get a list of World War II survivors from the Guam World War II Survivors Foundation. So, over the weekend and this week, we're going to be going down the line and talking to a lot of the applicants. But in speaking with a couple of my family members who applied for the war claims, I mean, it's really sad to say, but they've been waiting so long that, the news, finding out that they're going to wait even longer, honestly, a lot of them weren't even surprised.
Yeah.
I thought it was sad that certain people knew and didn't say anything. So.
It really was. And so I had reached out to Senator Amanda Shelton, as you asked, Chris, when I went to the Guam Congress Hall last week. I know she mentioned to us that she issued her statement. She's sticking to her statement, but she said check with her again this week. So that's something we need to follow up on, because she will. She said she has a plan moving forward. Let's hold her to that and see what she has next for that.
Yeah, and I agree with Sabrina. I mean, if there's an interpretive problem with the Trump administration, or if there's some kind of technical issue that kept war claims from moving forward, that's one thing, but to consciously hide it from the people of Guam during an election, and to consciously hide it from these war claims applicants and these stakeholders in the war claims issue, I mean, I feel like it's almost criminal. And with Senator Shelton and other people and the former Congresswoman's staff, out of one side of their mouth, they want to kind of present that, they're on top of it, they're very astute, they're very learned, they follow all the issues. But then, I mean, to kind of play dumb and say, like, oh, I don't know, I was only doing this when I was there. It just, I mean, a Congresswoman's office is so small, you would just kind of assume, I mean, a reasonable person would assume that, a lot of them knew about it. Right?
Yeah, and a lot of them are working at Adelup.
I think what is heartening is that there is a possible administrative remedy to this.
Right.
I mean, if you want to get down to the brass tacks of, the technicalities of the bill and what should have been done, that's one thing. But let's get past that. We can fix this. Treasury has, I understand, the authority to do so. Just get it done, because it's money that's is already earmarked for us anyways. But that's another story too. I mean,
and also,
it was money that's supposed to get to us anyways. That they're telling us where to spend it. So,
and Mike Nicholas, the congressman, is on the House Financial Services Committee, which has oversight over the Treasury. So hopefully it won't take so long.
Yeah, I think the fix is very doable. very quickly.
Yeah.
And I hope so, because as you said, I mean, these folks have been waiting for decades, you know, to get just compensation, and so to delay it any further is just another.
There's a lot of issues with the war claims issue too. I mean, you know, there's the amount of money these people are getting paid. There's that we're paying it, you know, ourselves pretty much. So I mean, really, it's a deep thing.
And it's not even the money. I don't think, to most people. It's it's just the fact that you're recognizing it. Right.
That closure that they need.
Yeah. You know.
I think it is about the money, though. You know, so I was talking to some friends last night, and they were like, "Oh, well, $10,000." And there's three of us at the table. I said, "Okay, do you need $10,000?" Yeah. Do you need $10,000? I know I need $10,000. So, I mean, if everybody out there needs 10 grand, I mean, it's to some people. I mean, symbolically, you're right. It's hard to put a price tag on, you know, the suffering that the survivors endured during the war. But I mean, you know, money's hard to come by, and I think.
Yeah, and I'm not saying the money is not important. It is, of course.
Yeah.
But you know, I think if they were to say what motivates them in wanting to get this done is the fact that, hey, we're owed it.
Yeah.
How about that story over the weekend that we posted on online with the arm robbery?
Yeah, there were two of them. That we had to. And real quick before we get to the details, guys, thank you guys so much for streaming and watching with us. But include your comments below, and also some ideas of how you want the conversation to be driven moving forward. So, Ness?
As Bree was mentioning, there were two actually robberies within the span, I guess, of 30 or 40 minutes. Similar in you know, how it was carried out. Apparently young, mid, slim to
Cardigan bandits.
Cardigan bandits. It's amazing how many comments what he was wearing.
I didn't know people knew what a cardigan was.
Armed with a rifle. Some say it looked like a shotgun. Some said it looked like a BB gun. I'm not very well versed on weapons, but that's what the police said.
It was definitely a pew pew.
Yeah.
Honestly, that video was pretty terrifying. I saw it go around some family WhatsApp chats and whatnot, and
it looked like a scene out of L.A. or some big urban city, not Guam.
I've never seen that here. I mean, that's terrifying.
At least no one was hurt. At least, you know, he didn't fire off whatever weapon it was in his hand. But I noticed there were some comments there, and people that were watching it that were around me at the time, they were saying that there's no way he can fire that weapon the way he's holding it. It's either gonna injure himself, or he just obviously doesn't know what he's doing.
And I think these guys, I mean, they're on drugs. It's obvious. I mean,
you know, they're out to get a quick buck to feed whatever addiction they're going for.
But what I'm worried about happening is when you have all these keyboard warriors talking about, oh, he can't fire the gun, and then, you know, moving forward, let's say someone robs another store, and the cashier is like, oh, it's not a real threat, you know, I could just grab, and then someone gets shot at, someone dies. I think that we just people need to kind of proceed with caution. Even if you don't think he could fire the gun, then I think you should act like he could.
Yeah. There's no confirmation that they were related, but it would appear very similar. So
the timing
it's
of it.
a high possibility that it could be related.
Well, is it cardigan season?
It actually is. Not here though. Carm, what you got working?
Oh man, what am I working on?
A lot happened with education towards the end of the week, especially when it comes to public safety.
Yeah, lots of public safety.
Linking those two together.
Yeah, I mean...
Is this something new?
Definitely not. So we've talked about public safety at schools very often. I think every other week I interview every week I interview Superintendent John Fernandez, Chairman Mark Mendiola. It's always this, what can we do to be more proactive? Like you said, I know an active shooter situation has not thankfully happened here on Guam, but we're always looking at different ways to secure school campuses. I know we had the incident at Ocean View Middle School that happened maybe a couple months back, right? And it really startled a lot of parents. A lot of parents were just visibly upset, maybe nervous to bring their kids to school, and it's really, honestly, it's kind of heartbreaking to see that they'd be scared to bring their children to school, which is something that, you know, before I don't think we had to think about putting safety officers that are armed on a school campus. So it's something that they keep talking about back and forth. I know they had a really, really long discussion at the Guam legislature with Senator Selena Nelson, who's now overseeing education. So lots of back and forth of how to secure schools, which is the big question, right?
It's a national debate too.
Right, like what will actually make schools safe?
Yeah.
And it's really hard. And then we had the break-ins of Simon Sanchez, and that was a whole nother discussion with, I mean, the governor, Leon Guerrero, and Josh Tenorio created this safety partnership between different agencies, so we're going to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
We're probably going to follow up. I mean, Homeland is a part of that.
Yeah. I mean, it really comes down to the funding. I mean, DOE's budget got cut by, 19-some million, so obviously they don't have the money. I really think that, in the last month we've seen a lot of hiring, a lot of, positions being filled that, it's open to debate. Maybe we shouldn't have filled those positions, but when you come up with a situation where we're looking for security for the schools and there's no money, it's easy to point to things like, oh, well, you hired all these deputy directors, or oh, you did this. So I really want to see the administration, if they're going to create this school safety, council or whatever, let's see you put your money where your mouth is, and, it's going to take money. So I think we need to do what we got to do to, we want to talk about public-private partnerships. I mean, there's a lot of security agencies out there. And it's about the presence, too. Why are people breaking into Sanchez? Because they, the cops aren't patrolling the area. I mean, it just... So many issues. And
but how often is that excuse going to work where they say that we're short on manpower, we're short on funding?
I'm tired of hearing it.
Yeah.
Same.
But then the governor, she also publicly stated how she's against arming our staff or our teachers in the schools, because that's been a heated debate nationally as well, whether those our educators
teachers should walk around with guns.
And I think we need to stop talking about what we're against and figure out a solution.
Right.
It's true.
Another thing I thought was interesting was this with the charter schools trying to separate their budget from DOE. I mean, one of the biggest charter school isn't even accredited, and this is a story you covered last year where they had 5 years. They're not accredited in any way, shape, or form. I mean, you have kids who are graduating from these charter schools. What do they tell they apply to college? Oh, well, my school isn't accredited. I mean, I don't know why we keep trying to give these, at least in this case, this one charter school money when they're not, living up to the standards that legally they're supposed to.
Right. We're also following up on that. I know Judy Wampat is now at Guahan Academy.
Right.
So she is really trying to get the accreditation, but again, everything takes time.
Yeah.
So you can't expect that process to move forward any faster than anything. I know.
Did she author that law?
Yes, the charter school law. So she's got a lot of experience in that
she
department.
Authored that law? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
But that was an interesting one because they both agree. They both want to have separate budgets where they can choose what to do with the money. It's just a question of oversight.
Yeah.
Who will oversee the charter schools, right? And I think that's a question across government agencies, accountability, right? Who is going to make sure that those funds are being spent on the student and not on some elaborate training or something else that they're doing, right? So I think that's the biggest thing with all of the stories that I've been covering as far as education is concerned, is really making sure that the money that senators appropriate for the students really goes to the kids.
Yeah, when you talk about accountability, I mean, part of it with the charter schools, a part of that accountability was like, hey, you open a charter school, we're going to give you 5 years. They don't meet that 5-year requirement, and they're just not being held accountable. So.
Yeah. Second chance.
Let's talk about the carnival.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a big one. Oh, man. The mayors really want to bring back the games of chance.
Really, yeah.
Really, like firm.
And the administration supports whatever the mayors are needing.
And Senator Nelson kind of got caught in the crossfire. I mean, I really saw this as one of the first big battles between the legislature and the administration. And, a lot of people are saying that Senator Nelson, caved. And I mean,
withdrew her bill.
Right, yeah. And I'm not even sure if this issue means a lot to the general public. I feel like it's an issue that these the administration, the legislature, the mayors, I mean, they're all fighting each other over it. Yeah. If you go out there in the street, no one cares about games of chance. I mean,
really?
No, they just want their carnival. They just want to celebrate their liberation the way that they celebrate.
We want to go get some food.
Yeah.
We want to ride some rides.
Have the kids play some games.
I don't know. I think there are some people who really do want to play the games of chance.
Yeah.
They're really excited for that. I mean, it used to be a tradition.
Yeah,
the Betsu Betsu, all that stuff.
That was just part of my childhood.
I do.
7 times your money.
Yeah, I do think there are people in the general public who want to bring it back. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I know people want to have a safe and fun liberation, but that was part of it back then. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think, honestly, Liberation Day Carnival last year was very sad. I don't think it had the numbers that we used to see, but people are also not they're just not going out to those type of events anymore, right?
I mean, it's not rocket science, you know, we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. I mean, the carnival was, when I was growing up, it was the place to go. Sure, there was a lot less to do on Guam, but there was no casino. And I mean, if we're going to have games of chance, that's fine, but I really just don't think the casino is an anchor. I think people who come to the carnival because there's a casino, they go straight to the casino and they stay in the casino and they stay there. And, you know, I think we need to concentrate, and this isn't any diss on the mayors, I think we need to concentrate on the entertainment, the food options, and make it more attractive for vendors to come, because that's going to attract people to the carnival, you know?
Sure.
And that's why the lieutenant governor, who's also part of this planning committee with the mayors, that he was saying that they want to incorporate the summer with GMIF. With the Micronesia Island Fair to start in May, and then he said to linger on into Pride Month in June, and then with the celebration of the Liberation festivities in July, just to have a summer filled with events that everyone can participate in. So we'll see how that goes.
And
they
this
said
is
a
a big
longer
one.
parade route possibly.
Yeah.
And this is a big one, the 75th Liberation Day. I think the biggest thing is going to be finding war survivors, finding liberators. You know, not many of them are left. It's very sad.
Wisp, you're in the discussion a lot, the coverage a lot when it comes to the mayors and the liberation talks as well. What are your thoughts?
I think with having the games of chance and such like that, I think it's a good thing. I mean, growing up, I remember hearing the Betu Betu, pay red, but I would never spend all my money there. I would go to the games. I would just enjoy the entertainment, sit with my grandparents. But I think it should, I don't know, I don't really have an opinion, but covering it, you know, I have to have an unbiased opinion.
Yeah, that's true. Hashtag reporters.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it doesn't have to be every day. They don't have to have the carnival every day. If they want it to be good, maybe just do Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's also
Selena
a
said
question
she
of
had 500
resources.
grand, right? Is that still a thing? No.
From the rainy day fund from GVB?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could use 500,000 to, you know, hire security at DOE.
True.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, it's where we're getting 500 grand to throw at a carnival. It's kind of crazy.
I
think what the casino did, though, I mean, if you want to get down to it brought in revenue.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very true.
And that's why the mayors have really been pushing it. And I know I interviewed Senator Jose Pito Terlahi last week, and
because he had his hearing. How was that hearing, by the way?
I guess it was pretty good. He's just he's really focusing on the reporting requirements, because I think that when the media kind of brushed over this story with the casino a couple years ago, it was like he was telling me, like, oh, you know, Chris, it was like the day before the accounting for the casino money was due, so that's why there was no reporting on it. But he really wants to stress accountability. It goes back to the accountability. If we're raising all this money with the casino, where's the money going and what's it being used for?
Yeah. Interesting stories.
Yeah, wow.
He's doing lots of stuff.
That's what else are you working on this week?
Well, there's a bill, a hearing this afternoon on a bill that would require bidders for the Government of Guam employee health insurance contract to also include the Guam Regional Medical City. And if you go back a year or two, there's been a dispute between one insurance company and GRMC, because GRMC, that particular insurance company did not want to include GRMC as part of its bid, because they feel that their rates are too high. So that bill will be heard this afternoon.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, the hospitals began making the news, especially with CMS back on island, giving GRMC high marks, right, Carmen? Then we get the news with the hospital about them getting their rebate, right?
Right. Right. That happened last week.
That's pretty significant. That's a great windfall for the hospital.
Yeah.
Something they've been trying to get for quite a while. Long overdue.
Decades.
I mean, we were operating on 1998 base rates, and that was a decade ago, you know. So it's good that they brought with them money, actual money, to hand over to Gov Guam. I think it was about $6 million,
right?
And that amount will continue going forward. So that's great news for the hospital. It still falls short of what they say they need. They need $30 million a year to make their budget whole.
Yeah.
So, but $6 million is what, about 10, 15%.
I'm not a math
But
But it
mathematician.
helps, yeah, it helps. It brings that
It
number
does.
down, so that's a very good
does.
thing, yeah.
But we'll see where that goes, because I know they'll be publishing their findings
Yeah.
hopefully soon. And so we'll see if they corrected some of their problems. I guess they had this list of things that they had to work on.
Right.
Get that accreditation back, yeah.
Something else I thought was interesting was this appointment to DISID.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Which one?
so-
The first
yeah.
appointment or the?
Or the new one.
Well, I think that, you know, the Leon Guerrero Tenorio administration's had some very public problems with some of their appointees. I
Right.
mean, you know, General, and that's something we haven't even talked about is General Leon Guerrero and that whole thing that happened with his transition report that apparently
There's been a
doesn't
lot of
exist.
talk of that.
Yeah. But with the DISID thing, I mean, this is a major agency that, I mean, deals with, you know, obviously with people with disabilities. And I just felt like, how do you let that slip through the cracks? You know what I mean? You appoint somebody, they step down for personal reasons, which, I mean, okay. And then, you know, they got someone else.
They got someone
fill the slot.
else.
Yeah, so.
I believe from Simon Sanchez.
Right, an
Administrator
assistant
there.
principal.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty interesting. I feel like, you know, Primo Ben Servino did a lot of good work with the last administration, and
That's true.
you know, I don't know if it was just partisan issues that kept him from being a contender for that. But how about this guard stuff?
How about it?
How about it?
I spoke with the governor every day last week about it as things unfolded. From when we first heard about just the concerns about Lieutenant Colonel Aggie being placed there, whether or not she could be there because of her rank, the other 06s and 07s that are above her in grade, and talks that morale's down, including with this transition report, and then the former tag comes out with his letter and speaks with us exclusively when that letter comes out to tell us just how he disagrees with this administration and how they're moving.
Yeah.
And he felt in the best interest to just tap out.
I felt that was a real mic drop because there was a, you know, I mean, the issue of Agagi is one thing, but I really felt like to justify promoting her, they really threw General Leon Guerrero under the bus. And I felt like they needed to separate these issues. I mean, if you're going to put, you know, Agagi up there, then put her up there and let that stand on its own, and don't tear down someone else to kind of to hold her up.
Right.
All interesting stories.
What about Mike Sinicolas? I mean,
Oh, that was a big one.
Regarding?
Just about his position. as
Well,
president.
his position is elected, but we're following up on the war claims corrective language.
Yeah.
He said he was going to be introducing that over the weekend, so
Right.
we'll follow it today.
We're waiting on that.
Yeah, I think he's got the language from, I guess it was Treasury.
Treasury.
Right.
Provided language. That's the legislative approach.
Right.
There's also the administrative
Yeah.
approach where you can.
So he's kind of working both.
Working as many angles as you can, whatever comes first, I guess, you know.
And there were some inconsistencies because I know when this issue first dropped, he said that, oh, it's going to be a long time, you know, I mean, there's no fix in sight happening in the near future. But then with his Facebook Live press conference, he said that, yeah, I'm going to introduce this Friday, which shouldn't be that hard to do. I know that in breaking the story and talking with former Congresswoman Berdalios, at that time Chief of Staff Adam Carbolito, they had the same thing. Treasury provided them the language that they needed. They just weren't able to get it introduced or whatever in a timely manner. So, like Frank Blas Jr. said, you know, this is an opportunity for Congressman Sinicolas to pick up the ball and I believe run it into the end zone for a touchdown. That was on Super Bowl
Yes,
Monday.
it was.
Football references.
Right, yeah.
Oh,
Jody.
man.
What do we got working this week?
We have Culture Club coming up on Wednesday. This week I'm featuring the owner of Only on Guam.
Nice.
It's products kind of referring to, you know, things that
You only find here?
Yeah. And how the idea, I guess, you know, they had an idea and they had pitched it to, I guess, Only on Guam was a coin phrase from the late Joe Murphy, if I'm not mistaken. So they went and they asked his permission and also have working on a new special that's airing on Monday, February 18th, called Coming Clean, Sober and Surviving.
Oh.
So it's just I sit down with just a few of many people that have success stories. You know, they're survivors of addiction, and you know they are
talking about
given
drugs,
yes,
alcohol,
gambling, and this is their second chance, and so they're kind of working with other people to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes they did, and that they're helping these people, and just like the other places, the resources that are available out there, because I don't think a lot of people that do need help don't realize that there are so many resources out there that they can take advantage of.
It's tough because covering courts myself and seeing Judge Anita Scola, she's pretty much fed up with seeing some of these defendants continuously, repeatedly come into the courtroom and try and make up excuses why they're not showing up for their hearings, why they're testing positive at each follow-up at probation, and it becomes quite the scene inside the courtroom. But
yep, I mean, she's the closest thing we got to a hanging judge nowadays.
Yeah.
But I think also we got to look at probation, and I mean, we report on so many of these stories where there was one that you guys did where there was a guy on felony release that committed a felony.
Yeah, there's several.
Yeah. And so I just wonder, when I see that, I mean, are these guys checking in, or
they're supposed to? Does
probation go out and like look for these guys, or they just stay at the court all day in the aircon? I mean, I don't know, but it's something that we've seen a lot of in the last couple of years. Derek Baza Hills is another example. I mean, how do these people continue to violate the conditions of their release, and then they get right back out on the street again? And with these are drug offenders, so they're going back out on the street. They're Kaneni, they're trying to rob to get money. I mean, it's just crazy.
Well, that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work. There's a lot of moving pieces.
Well, maybe that probation needs to be moving their bodies on the street.
And that's what the defendants are told, that, at any time these guys with probation can go to their house, can go to their work, can search their vehicles. And so it's just a matter of if that's being done and how quick they can get to it.
So I'm excited to see that special. That sounds really motivating.
Some good news for a change.
I always think it's incredible that people can really change their life around. I wonder what inspired them.
And then finding out their turning points. I think that was a big thing.
Like you don't just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I'm going to change my entire life."
Right. I think for them it was like they had to literally hit rock bottom to kind of have a eye-opening. Revelation.
You talk about inspiring. I mean, it's these addicts who are, maybe they're on the news, maybe we're reporting on them, maybe they caught a case, but for them to see other people, like the people you interviewed, and know that, wow, these people can do it, I can too. Hopefully it is.
And that's the whole. And that was the whole point of the
good job.
Special.
Oh, nice, Joan.
Real quickly, I know some people are commenting in the comment section. One of the people that commented was asking about what about picking up trash around the villages, and I'm so glad that they mentioned that because on tomorrow's group chat, you're actually going to be going out into the village of DELGADO and meeting with the mayor about the illegal dumping problems there.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
make sure you stay tuned for that.
Yeah. Bring your gloves. Trash bags.
Bring your broom, because it's a mess.
We're going to clean it up.
I mean, picking up trash, it never stops. It never stops. You go to the beach this weekend? I don't know if any of you went to the beach this weekend, but man.
Yes.
It's trash everywhere.
I don't know what happened, because back in the day, I mean, I'm going to sound like
good
an
morning.
old guy. Yeah. But back in the day when we had a gathering at the beach, there was always people who were tasked with the cleanup.
Yeah.
It's trash
Bring
everywhere.
your trash bag.
Yeah.
I mean, the cleanup crew, breakdown crew, and now I just feel like
they
nobody
just
does
fixed
that
all those pavilions down there in EPAL.
Yeah.
And they're all cement structures. They've got these like barbecue pits thanks to Rotary Club. I covered that story, and I'm just like, how long is this going to last?
We just got a
a
press release from our former colleague, our beloved Crystal Paco.
Ooh,
She says the governor and lieutenant governor will be touring the Guam Memorial Hospital at 1:30 this afternoon. So I'm sure we'll be there.
We'll be there.
Yeah, and I wonder how long it's going to take for them to get the results of that report from CMS now that they're up and gone.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a while.
I think we just made everyone at GMH nervous.
What?
Fix yourself, the governor's coming.
I'm sure they've got a heads up.
Yeah. All right, guys, anything else that you want to add in?
No.
Lacey's in the back here, producer. She's also the stuff that gets everything up online with the rest of our digital team.
No, just a reminder, if possible, take a picture. If not, that's okay. And to your, of course, I know you're really good at that, Whisper. Thank you for helping.
Got it.
Yeah.
Make sure to snap some pictures for social.
We do want to get your stories on as soon as possible, and if not, we have to use a generic product.
I'll talk to the guys about that.
All right.
All right, guys.
I'm excited. It's going to be a good week. Go
Right
team.
on, Yahoo! Yeah!
Woo!
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us for the launch of morning meetings here while you start your day the KUM way. The rest of the KUM News team, thank you guys so much for your hard work. Let's get to it. And if you guys, of course, have any tips, you can email us, reporters@KUM.com. Also, message us on any of our social media platforms. We'll be watching and looking out for that. Until next time, we'll see you tonight.